I woke up in my hotel room in Cancun with my clothes on, my purse next to me, and no clear memory of how I got there. The clock said 6:47 a.m. My head felt like it was full of cotton. My mouth was dry. I sat up slowly and looked around. Everything seemed normal. My suitcase was in the corner. My phone was charging. But something was wrong. I could feel it in my body. My hands were shaking. There was a bruise on my arm I didn't remember getting. And when I tried to think about the night before, there were just holes. Big, dark holes where hours should have been. I'm 52 years old. I've traveled for work for decades. I thought I knew how to handle myself. I was wrong. The last clear thing I remembered was sitting at a bar around 9 p.m., talking to a friendly man who said he worked with tourists. He bought me a drink. We talked about Texas, where I'm from. He seemed nice, normal, safe. After that, everything gets blurry. I remember laughing. I remember feeling dizzy and thinking I just needed water. I remember being outside, but I don't know how I got there. I remember a car, voices, someone's hand on my back. Then nothing, just black. Then waking up. When I stood up to go to the bathroom, my legs felt weak. My whole body felt heavy, like I'd run a marathon. But I hadn't done anything. Or had I? That's what scared me most. I didn't know. I grabbed my phone and checked my bank app with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. 3 transactions I didn't remember making. $200 at a bar I'd never heard of. A cab charge to somewhere 20 minutes outside the hotel zone. And a small charge at a convenience store at 3 a.m. I wasn't at a convenience store at 3 a.m. At least, I don't think I was. I looked in the mirror. My makeup was smeared. My hair was messy. I looked like someone who'd had a wild night. But I don't have wild nights. I'm careful. I'm smart. I'm experienced. I came to Cancun to relax, to celebrate my divorce being final, to prove to myself I could still travel alone. Instead, something happened. Something I can't fully remember. And that terrifies me more than anything. Before we continue, please comment below what city you're watching from. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like. My name is Linda Parker. I'm 52 years old. I live in Austin, Texas. 3 months ago, my divorce was finalized after 26 years of marriage. It wasn't ugly. It wasn't dramatic. We just stopped being married and started being strangers who shared a house. When the papers were signed, I felt relief. Then I felt nothing. Then I felt like I needed to do something. Anything. I needed to prove to myself that my life wasn't over. That I could still do things alone. That I was still me. Not just someone's ex-wife or someone's mother. My daughter lives in Boston now. My son is in graduate school in California. They're busy. They're living their lives. I'm proud of them. But the house felt too quiet. My job as a medical billing administrator felt too small. I'd spent decades traveling for work, going to conferences, handling problems, navigating airports and hotels like it was second nature. But I'd never traveled just for me, just to relax. Just to sit on a beach and not think about spreadsheets or insurance codes or whether I remembered to pay the water bill. So I booked a trip to Cancun, 5 days, all-inclusive resort, direct flight from Austin. I told my friends I was going. They seemed excited for me. A few of them said things like, "Be careful," or "Don't talk to strangers," and I laughed. I'd been traveling for work since I was 30. I'd been to Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Denver, Miami. I'd handled drunk colleagues at conferences. I'd dealt with aggressive cab drivers. I'd walked through sketchy neighborhoods looking for my hotel at midnight. I knew how to handle myself. I was mature. I was experienced. I wasn't some 20-year-old girl who couldn't spot danger. That confidence is what almost destroyed me. I landed in Cancun on a Tuesday afternoon. The airport was hot and crowded. People were everywhere, holding signs, selling tours, offering taxis. I'd already arranged a shuttle to my resort. A driver was waiting with my name on a tablet. Everything went smoothly. The drive to the hotel zone took 30 minutes. Palm trees lined the road. The ocean appeared in flashes between buildings. The air smelled like salt and exhaust, and something sweet I couldn't identify. Tourist shops sold sombreros and shot glasses and t-shirts that said, "I got drunk in Cancun." Spring breakers stumbled along sidewalks even though it was only 3 p.m. I felt separate from all of it, older, wiser, above it. The resort was beautiful, white walls, blue pools, music playing from hidden speakers. Staff members smiled and said, "Welcome, Mrs. Parker," even though I'd told them on the phone I wasn't Mrs. anymore. I didn't correct them. My room was on the 3rd floor with a view of one of the pools. It was clean. It smelled like coconut. The bed was big and soft. I unpacked slowly, hung up my dresses, put my toiletries in the bathroom, charged my phone. I felt calm, accomplished, like I'd done something brave just by getting here. That first night, I stayed at the resort. I ate dinner at the buffet. Bland chicken, passable rice, a margarita that tasted like it came from a machine. I sat alone at a small table and watched families, couples, groups of young people laughing too loud. No one talked to me. I didn't mind. I went back to my room early, took a shower, watched TV in a language I didn't understand, fell asleep before 10 p.m. The next day, I woke up early. I went to the beach, lay on a lounge chair, read a book I'd been meaning to finish for months. The sun was strong. The ocean was loud. People walked by constantly. Vendors tried to sell me bracelets, sunglasses, massages. I said no thank you over and over until they stopped asking. I ate lunch by the pool, another margarita, chips and guacamole. I watched people swim. I didn't swim. I've never liked getting my hair wet in public. By late afternoon, I felt restless. I'd been at the resort for over 24 hours, and I hadn't really done anything. I hadn't seen anything. I was in Mexico, in Cancun, and I'd barely left the property. It felt like a waste, like I was hiding. I thought about my ex-husband, how he used to call me boring, how he said I never wanted to try new things, how toward the end, he stopped inviting me to do anything because he said I'd just say no anyway. Maybe he was right. Maybe I had become boring, careful, scared. I decided I wasn't going to be that person anymore. I went back to my room and changed. I put on a sundress, nothing fancy, blue with white flowers, sandals, a little makeup. I grabbed my crossbody purse, put my phone, my credit card, some cash, my room key, and my ID inside. I didn't bring my passport. I figured I didn't need it. I was just going to walk around, maybe find a restaurant, have dinner somewhere local, something real, not another buffet. The front desk staff gave me directions to downtown Cancun, but I didn't want to go that far. I wanted to stay in the hotel zone, walk along the main road, find a place with locals, not just tourists. One of the concierges, a young woman with perfect English, suggested a few spots. She said they were safe. She said tourists went there all the time. She drew a little map on the back of a resort flyer. I thanked her and left. The sun was starting to set. The sky was orange and pink. The heat was finally breaking. I walked along the sidewalk next to the main road. Cars and buses rushed past. Music poured out of open-air bars. People were already drinking, laughing, dancing. I felt invisible. Just another middle-aged woman walking alone. No one looked at me. No one bothered me. It felt freeing. I found a restaurant the concierge had mentioned. It had string lights and plastic chairs and a handwritten menu in Spanish and English. I sat down. A waiter brought me water and a menu. I ordered fish tacos and a beer. The food came quickly. It was good. Better than the resort. The beer was cold. I ate slowly. Watched people walk by. Listened to conversations in Spanish that I couldn't understand. I felt proud of myself. I was doing it. I was traveling alone. I was being independent. After dinner, I paid and left a good tip. It was around 8:30 p.m., still early. I didn't want to go back to the resort yet. I felt good, energized. I saw a bar across the street. It wasn't too crowded. Music was playing, but not too loud. People were sitting outside at small tables. It looked casual, normal. I thought one more drink couldn't hurt. I crossed the street and walked inside. The bar was bigger than it looked from outside. There was a long counter with bottles stacked behind it, tables and chairs scattered around, a small dance floor in the back where a few people were moving to reggaeton music. Most of the people there looked like tourists. Americans, Canadians maybe. A few locals. Everyone seemed relaxed, happy. I found an empty stool at the bar and sat down. The bartender came over. He was young, maybe 30, with a big smile. He asked what I wanted in English. I ordered a margarita. He made it quickly. It was stronger than the ones at the resort. I sipped it slowly, looked around. No one paid attention to me. I checked my phone. No messages. I thought about texting my daughter but didn't know what to say. "Hi, I'm at a bar in Cancun?" It sounded stupid. That's when he sat down next to me. He was probably in his 40s, tan skin, dark hair with some gray, nice shirt, clean. He smiled and said hello in English. I said hello back. He asked if I was on vacation. I said yes. He said he could tell. He said he worked in tourism, helped organize tours, activities, that kind of thing. He said his name was Marco. I said my name was Linda. We shook hands. His grip was firm but not too firm. He seemed friendly, normal, safe. We talked for a while. He asked where I was from. I said Texas. He said he'd been to Texas once, to Houston for a conference. We talked about the heat, about traffic, about Mexican food in Texas versus Mexico. He was easy to talk to, charming. He didn't flirt. He didn't make me uncomfortable. He just seemed like a nice person making conversation. When my drink was almost empty, he asked if I wanted another. I hesitated. I'd already had 2 drinks that night, but I felt fine. I wasn't driving. I was walking distance from my resort. I said sure. He ordered for both of us, 2 margaritas. The bartender made them and put them down in front of us. Marco raised his glass, said, "To new friends and good vacations." I raised mine. We clinked glasses. I drank. That's when things started to feel different. At first, I thought I was just tired. The drink tasted normal. Maybe a little sweeter than the first one, but not bad. Marco kept talking. He told me about tours he recommended. Snorkeling, Mayan ruins, cenotes. He said Cancun was more than just resorts and beaches. He said most tourists never saw the real Mexico. I nodded. I agreed. I wanted to see the real Mexico too. That's why I came out tonight. That's what I told myself. But after a few more sips, my head started to feel heavy. Not dizzy exactly, just slow. Like my thoughts were taking longer to form. I blinked a few times. Tried to focus. Marco asked if I was okay. I said yes. I said I was probably just dehydrated. He nodded. Said that happens a lot here. Said the heat and the alcohol can sneak up on you. He offered to get me water. I said that would be good. The bartender brought water. I drank it. It didn't help. My mouth felt dry no matter how much I drank. I looked at my phone to check the time, but the screen seemed too bright. The numbers didn't make sense. Was it 9:30? Or 10:30? I couldn't remember what time I'd sat down. Marco was still talking. Something about a boat tour. Or a restaurant. I couldn't follow. I kept nodding. Kept smiling. I didn't want to seem rude. I didn't want him to think I couldn't handle myself. He asked if I wanted to go somewhere quieter. He said there was another place down the street. Less crowded. Better music. I should have said no. I should have said I needed to go back to my resort. But the words felt stuck. And part of me didn't want to leave. Part of me thought I was being paranoid. I was a grown woman. I'd been traveling for years. I could handle a night out. If I left now, I'd feel stupid, weak, like I couldn't do this. So I said okay. Marco helped me off the stool. I stumbled a little. He caught my arm, asked again if I was all right. I laughed, said I was fine, just clumsy. We walked outside. The air felt cooler, but it didn't clear my head. The streetlights seemed too bright. Everything had a strange glow. We started walking. I tried to pay attention to where we were going, but the buildings all looked the same. Marco kept talking. His voice felt far away even though he was right next to me. We walked for maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10. I don't know. Time felt strange. We stopped in front of another bar. This one was smaller, darker, fewer people outside. Marco opened the door and gestured for me to go in. I hesitated. Something in my gut told me not to, but I ignored it. I stepped inside. The music was louder here. The lights were dimmer. There were fewer tourists, more locals. People looked at me when I walked in. Not in a friendly way. Just looked. Marco guided me to a table in the corner. I sat down. The chair felt unsteady. Or maybe I felt unsteady. I couldn't tell. He said he'd get us drinks. I said I didn't want another drink. He said just one more. Something light. I didn't argue. I was too tired to argue. He came back with 2 drinks. I don't know what it was. It was orange. It tasted sweet. I took a small sip. Then I put it down. I needed to think. I needed to figure out what was happening to me. This wasn't normal. I'd had 3 drinks over 2 hours. That shouldn't make me feel like this. I'd had more than that at office parties and driven home fine. This was different. Something was wrong. I looked at Marco. He was watching me, still smiling. But the smile looked different now. Or maybe I was seeing it differently. I asked him what time it was. He checked his phone, said it was almost 11. I said I needed to go back to my hotel. He said it was still early. He said we should finish our drinks first. I said no. I needed to leave now. He didn't argue. He just nodded. Said he understood. Said he'd walk me back. I said I could walk myself. He said it wasn't safe. He said the hotel zone was far. He said there were taxis outside. He'd help me get one. I didn't want his help. But I also didn't think I could walk back. I could barely stand up. My legs felt like they weren't attached to my body. We went outside. The street was busy. Cars everywhere. People walking. Music from multiple bars mixing together. Marco said something to someone. A man appeared. Not a regular taxi. Just a guy with a car. Marco said he was a friend. Said he'd drive me back to my resort. I asked how much. The man said $20. That seemed high. But I couldn't think clearly enough to negotiate. I just wanted to get back. Marco opened the back door, helped me get in. I sat down. The seat smelled like cigarettes. I fumbled with my seatbelt. Couldn't figure out how to click it. Marco leaned in, said he'd ride with me. Said he wanted to make sure I got there safely. I said that wasn't necessary. He got in anyway, sat next to me, closed the door. The car started moving. I looked out the window, tried to recognize where we were, but everything was blurry. The lights streaked past. I closed my eyes. That made it worse. My stomach turned. I opened them again, focused on breathing. Marco was talking. I couldn't hear him over the music the driver was playing. Or maybe I just couldn't process the words. I felt his hand on my knee. I moved my leg away. He moved his hand, said, sorry. Said he was just making sure I was okay. I looked at the driver, tried to see his face in the rearview mirror. He wasn't looking at me, just driving. I didn't recognize any of the buildings we were passing. This didn't look like the way back to the hotel zone. I said something. My voice sounded strange, quiet, weak. I said this isn't the right way. Marco said it was a shortcut, said the main road had traffic. I said I wanted to take the main road. He said we were almost there. We weren't almost there. We kept driving, away from the lights, away from the crowds. The buildings got smaller. The street got darker. I tried to open my door. It was locked. I pulled the handle. Nothing happened. I said, "Let me out." Marco said calm down, said I was confused, said we'd be at my resort in 5 minutes. I said I wanted out now. The driver said something in Spanish. Marco responded. They both laughed. That's when real fear kicked in. Through the fog in my head, through the heaviness in my body, I understood what was happening, or at least that something very bad was happening. I grabbed my purse, held it against my chest. I said, "Stop the car." The driver didn't stop. I said it louder, "Stop the car. Let me out." Marco put his hand on my shoulder, told me to relax, told me everything was fine. I pushed his hand away, tried to move away from him, but there was nowhere to go. I don't remember what happened next, not clearly. I remember the car stopping. I remember being outside. I remember standing on a street I didn't recognize. Dark, quiet. No tourists, no lights. Marco was talking to someone else, another man. I couldn't see his face. I tried to walk. My legs wouldn't work right. Someone caught me, held me up. I tried to scream. Nothing came out, just a weak sound, like a moan. I remember being in a building, small, concrete walls, a single light bulb, a mattress on the floor. I remember thinking, this is how it ends. This is how I die. In Mexico. In a room I don't recognize. Because I was stupid enough to think I was safe. Because I thought being 52 meant something. Because I trusted a stranger who seemed nice. I remember sitting on the floor, my back against the wall, trying to stay awake, knowing if I fell asleep I might not wake up. Or worse, I'd wake up and something terrible would have happened and I wouldn't remember. I remember voices, men talking, laughing. I remember crying without making sound. I remember praying even though I haven't prayed in years. I remember thinking about my daughter, my son, how they'd find out what happened to me, how my ex-husband would tell people I should have known better. Then everything goes black. I don't know if I passed out, or fell asleep, or if something else happened. There's just nothing. A blank space where time should be. Hours erased. When memories start again, I'm moving, being carried or dragged. I can't tell. Everything is dark. I hear a car engine, feel movement, smell exhaust. Then nothing again. The next thing I remember clearly is waking up in my hotel room, on my bed, fully clothed, shoes still on, purse next to me. I opened my eyes slowly. The room was bright, morning light coming through the curtains. I didn't move. I just lay there, trying to understand where I was, trying to remember how I got there. My head was pounding. My mouth tasted like metal. My whole body ached. I sat up slowly, looked around. Everything looked normal, untouched, like I'd come back and just fallen asleep. But I knew that wasn't true. I knew something happened. I just didn't know what. I checked my body. No obvious injuries, no blood. My clothes were wrinkled but intact. My underwear was still on. I didn't know if that meant anything. I didn't know what to check for. I stood up. My legs were shaky. I walked to the bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror. My makeup was smeared. Mascara under my eyes. Lipstick faded. My hair was messy. I looked like someone who'd been out all night. But I didn't remember most of the night. That's what scared me, the not knowing. I turned on the shower, got undressed, stood under the hot water for a long time, scrubbed my skin, washed my hair twice, tried to wash away whatever happened, tried to remember. But the memories wouldn't come. Just fragments, pieces, a bar, a man named Marco, a car, a dark room. Then nothing. Then waking up here. I got out of the shower, dried off, put on clean clothes. My hands were shaking. I sat on the bed and grabbed my phone. It was 6:52 a.m. Wednesday morning. I'd left my hotel room yesterday around 7 p.m. That meant almost 12 hours were gone. I had no idea where I'd been for most of that time. I opened my banking app, checked my transactions. My stomach dropped. 3 charges I didn't remember. 1 at the first bar. That made sense. Then 1 at a bar called El Nido for $60. I didn't remember going to a place called El Nido. Then a taxi charge for $45 from a company I'd never heard of. Then a charge at a convenience store called OXXO for $12 at 3:17 a.m. I wasn't at a convenience store at 3 a.m. At least I don't think I was. I checked my purse. My credit card was there. My ID was there. My phone. My room key. The cash I'd brought was gone. About $80. But everything else was there. That confused me. If someone robbed me, why leave the credit card? Why leave my phone? Why bring me back to my hotel? I didn't understand. And that made everything worse. I sat on the bed for a long time. Maybe an hour. Maybe more. I kept trying to force the memories to come back. I closed my eyes. Tried to picture the night. But there was nothing. Just that dark room. Those voices. The feeling of being moved. Nothing concrete. Nothing I could hold on to. I thought about calling someone. My daughter. My ex-husband. But what would I say? I went out last night and something bad might have happened, but I don't remember. They'd ask questions I couldn't answer. They'd tell me I was irresponsible. They'd be right. I was irresponsible. I trusted a stranger. I got in a car with people I didn't know. I ignored every warning sign because I was too proud to admit I was in over my head. Around 8 a.m., I decided I needed to tell someone at the hotel. Maybe they had security cameras. Maybe they saw me come back. Maybe they could tell me what happened. I got dressed, put on jeans and a t-shirt, sunglasses to hide my eyes. I went downstairs to the front desk. The woman working was young, maybe 25. Her name tag said Isabella. She smiled when she saw me, asked how my stay was going. I didn't know how to start. I said I needed to ask her something. I said I came back to the hotel very late last night, or early this morning. I said I didn't remember coming back. I asked if she was working then, if she saw me. Her smile faded a little. She said she started her shift at 7 a.m. She asked if something was wrong. I said I wasn't sure. I said I went out last night and lost track of time. I asked if there were security cameras, if I could see the footage. She looked uncomfortable. She said she'd need to talk to her manager. She asked me to wait. I stood there for 10 minutes. People walked past me. Families going to breakfast. Couples in swimsuits heading to the pool. Everyone looked normal, happy, like nothing was wrong with the world. I felt like I was in a different reality, like I didn't belong here anymore. Isabella came back with a man. Older, maybe 50. His name tag said Miguel, guest services manager. He had a serious face. He asked me to follow him. We went to a small office behind the front desk. He closed the door, asked me to sit down. I sat. He sat across from me. He asked what happened. I told him. I went out last night. Met someone. Had drinks. Don't remember most of the night. Woke up in my room. Don't know how I got there. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then he asked if I wanted to file a police report. I said I didn't know. I said I didn't know what happened. He nodded. Said that was common. I asked what he meant by common. He said tourists sometimes have too much to drink. They black out. They don't remember getting back to the hotel. He said usually nothing bad happens. They just lose time. I said this felt different. I said, I think someone drugged me. He asked why I thought that. I said because I only had 3 drinks over several hours. I said, I've never felt like that before. He didn't say anything. I asked if I could see the security footage. He said he'd check. He left the office. I sat there alone. The office was small, white walls, a desk, a computer, a filing cabinet. There was a poster about hotel policies in Spanish. I couldn't read it. I felt stupid. I was in a foreign country. I didn't speak the language. I didn't know the laws. I didn't know what to do. Miguel came back 15 minutes later. He said the cameras showed me arriving at the hotel at 4:23 a.m. He said I was alone. I walked through the lobby, took the elevator, went to my room. He said I looked tired, but I was walking on my own. I asked if I could see it. He said hotel policy didn't allow guests to view security footage. He said if I wanted to involve police, they could request it officially. I asked what he recommended. He looked at me for a long time. Then he said, in a very careful voice, that these situations were difficult. He said without clear evidence of a crime, police often couldn't do much. He said if I wasn't injured, if nothing was stolen, if I made it back safely, then maybe I should just rest. Be more careful. Stay at the resort. He said Cancun was generally safe, but going out alone at night could be risky for tourists who didn't know the area. I felt anger rise in my chest. I said I wasn't some stupid tourist. I said I've traveled for work for 20 years. He said he understood. He said he wasn't blaming me. He was just trying to be honest. He said if I wanted to report this, I could. But he wanted me to know what to expect. Long process. Language barriers. Lots of questions. Probably no answers. I left his office, went back to my room, sat on the bed again. I felt defeated, small, like everything that happened was my fault, like I deserved it somehow, for being arrogant, for thinking I was different, for going out alone, for trusting Marco, for getting in that car. I spent the rest of Wednesday in my room. I didn't eat. I couldn't. My stomach was in knots. I kept checking my bank account, kept looking at those charges, trying to remember. I Googled El Nido Cancun, but couldn't find anything. I Googled getting drugged in Cancun and found dozens of stories. Women who went out, had drinks, woke up not remembering. Some were robbed, some were assaulted, some were just left somewhere and had to find their way back. I read every story. Each one made me feel worse. Around 5 p.m., I decided I needed to do something. I couldn't just sit here. I needed answers. I got dressed, went back downstairs, asked the concierge where the nearest police station was. She looked surprised. Asked if everything was okay. I said I just needed to talk to someone. She gave me an address. Said I could take a taxi. It was about 15 minutes away. I took a taxi. The driver didn't speak much English. I showed him the address on my phone. He nodded. Drove. We went through parts of Cancun I hadn't seen. Residential areas, small shops, normal life, not tourist life. We stopped in front of a white building with Policia written on it. I paid, got out, walked inside. The station was busy. People waiting on benches, officers walking around, everything in Spanish. I went to the front desk. A young officer asked me something in Spanish. I said I only spoke English. He called someone else over, an older officer. He spoke English with a thick accent. He asked how he could help. I told him the same story I told Miguel. Went out, had drinks. Don't remember most of the night. Woke up in my hotel. Think I was drugged. He listened, took notes, asked questions. What bar? What was the man's name? What did he look like? What kind of car? What time? I answered what I could, but I didn't have enough details. I couldn't describe Marco clearly. I didn't know the name of the second bar. I didn't see the license plate. Everything was too vague. He asked if I was injured. I said no. He asked if anything was stolen. I said just cash. $80. He asked if I was sexually assaulted. I said I didn't know. I said I didn't remember. He asked if I wanted to go to a hospital for an examination. I said it had been over 12 hours. I said I took a shower. He nodded slowly. Said that made things difficult. He said he'd file a report. He said someone might follow up. But he was honest with me. He said without more information, without witnesses, without physical evidence, there wasn't much they could do. He said these kinds of cases were hard to investigate. He said I should be more careful, stay in tourist areas, don't drink with strangers, don't get in unmarked cars. I thanked him, took my copy of the report, left. I felt hollow, empty, like I'd been violated twice. Once by whatever happened that night. Once by everyone telling me there was nothing they could do about it. I took a taxi back to the hotel, went to my room, lay on the bed, stared at the ceiling. It was getting dark outside. I'd been in Cancun for 2 full days. This was supposed to be relaxing, a celebration, a new start. Instead, it was a nightmare. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept the lights on. I pushed a chair against the door even though it had a deadbolt. Every sound made me jump. People walking in the hallway, doors closing, the elevator dinging. I kept thinking someone would come, that whoever took me would come back, that I wasn't safe even here. Around 2 a.m. I got up, went to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, looked at myself in the mirror. I looked terrible. Dark circles under my eyes, skin pale, hair flat. I looked old, scared, broken. I thought about leaving, changing my flight, going home early, but that felt like giving up, like letting them win, whoever they were. Thursday morning, I made a decision. I was going back to that first bar, back to where I met Marco. I needed to see it in daylight. I needed to see if anyone remembered me. Maybe the bartender, maybe someone who worked there. Maybe I could find answers no one else would give me. I got dressed. Ate breakfast at the hotel buffet even though I wasn't hungry. Forced down eggs and toast. Drank coffee. At 10 a.m. I left the hotel. Walked the same route I'd walked Tuesday night. But everything looked different in daylight. Smaller. Less exciting. Just buildings and shops and restaurants. Not magical. Not dangerous. Just normal. I found the first bar. The one where I met Marco. It was called Playa Vista. In daylight, it looked run down. Paint peeling. Plastic chairs stacked outside. A handwritten sign saying they opened at noon. I waited. Sat on a bench across the street. Watched. At noon, a man came and unlocked the door. He started setting up chairs. I crossed the street. Walked in. The man looked up. Asked something in Spanish. I said I only spoke English. He switched to English. Asked what I wanted. I said I was there Tuesday night. I said I needed to talk to whoever was working then. He said he was working Tuesday night. He was the owner and the bartender. His name was Carlos. I described Marco. Tall, tan, dark hair with gray, nice shirt, mid-40s. Said he told me he worked in tourism. Carlos listened, then shook his head. Said a lot of people came through. He couldn't remember everyone. I asked if he remembered me. A woman alone, American, older, had 2 margaritas, talked to a man. He shrugged. Said maybe. Said maybe not. I asked if someone named Marco worked there or came there regularly. He said no, Marco worked there. Said he didn't know all his customers' names. I asked if tourists getting drugged was common. His face changed. Got harder. He said his bar was safe. He said he ran a clean business. He said if something happened to me, it didn't happen there. I said I wasn't accusing him. I just needed help. He said he couldn't help me. He said I should go. I left. stood outside, felt tears coming but pushed them down. I walked down the street, looking for El Nido, on the bar that showed up on my bank statement. I walked for 30 minutes, asked people, showed them my phone with the charge. Most people didn't know it. One man said he thought there used to be a bar with that name, but it closed. Another said maybe it was in a different part of town. No one could tell me where it was. I gave up, went back to my hotel. My feet hurt. My head hurt. Everything hurt. I'd accomplished nothing, found nothing, learned nothing. I was exactly where I started, except now I'd wasted a whole day chasing ghosts. Friday morning, I woke up before dawn. I hadn't really slept, just dozed on and off. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that dark room, heard those voices, felt hands on me that I couldn't see clearly. I couldn't stay in Cancun anymore. I couldn't breathe here. Everything felt dangerous. Every man who looked at me could be Marco. Every car could be the one that took me. I needed to leave. I grabbed my phone, opened the airline app. My flight home was Sunday afternoon. 2 more days. I couldn't do 2 more days. I searched for earlier flights. There was one Friday night, 9:47 p.m., leaving in less than 14 hours. The change fee was $200. I didn't care. I clicked purchase, confirmed, done. I was leaving today. I packed everything quickly, threw clothes in my suitcase, didn't fold anything, just stuffed it in. I needed to get out of this room, out of this hotel, out of this country. I checked the time, 6:15 a.m. My flight wasn't until night. I had 15 hours to kill. I couldn't stay here. I'd go crazy. I needed to go somewhere public, somewhere with people, somewhere I felt safe. I went downstairs. The lobby was quiet. Only a few people at the front desk. Early check-ins, late checkouts. I asked if I could leave my luggage with them. The woman said yes. She took my bag, gave me a claim ticket, asked if everything was okay. I said yes. I lied. Nothing was okay. I left the hotel, started walking. I didn't have a plan. I just walked. The sun was coming up. The sky was getting lighter. Street cleaners were out. Shop owners opening up. The city waking up. I walked past restaurants, souvenir shops, tour operators. Everything looked normal, harmless. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I stopped at a coffee shop, ordered an Americano, sat by the window, watched people pass by. Tourists in swimsuits heading to the beach, locals going to work. Everyone moving with purpose. Everyone except me. I was just waiting, counting down hours until I could go home. A man sat down at the table next to mine. Older, maybe 60. White hair, reading glasses. He was reading a newspaper in English. American, probably. He looked harmless. But I still moved my chair away slightly. Still kept my purse in my lap. Still watched him from the corner of my eye. I couldn't trust anyone anymore. That's what they took from me. Not just my memory. Not just my sense of safety, my ability to trust. I finished my coffee, left, walked some more, found a shopping plaza, went inside. Air conditioning hit me like a wall. Cold, clean, safe. I walked through stores without buying anything, just killing time. In a pharmacy, I stopped, looked at the pregnancy tests, the morning after pills, the rape kits they kept behind the counter. I thought about asking for one, but it had been 3 days, too late, and I still didn't know if anything happened. Maybe nothing did. Maybe I was lucky. Or maybe I just couldn't remember the worst part. I left the pharmacy, sat on a bench in the plaza, checked my phone. 9:42 a.m. Still so much time left. I opened Facebook, scrolled through posts from people back home, friends complaining about work, someone's kid's birthday party, a neighbor asking for restaurant recommendations. Normal life. Life I used to have. Life I wanted back. I thought about posting something. Having a great time in Cancun. With a beach photo. That's what people do. They post the good parts, hide the bad, pretend everything is perfect. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't lie like that. So I just closed the app, put my phone away. Around 11 a.m. I got hungry. I hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. I found a McDonald's, ordered a burger and fries. Sat in the back corner where I could see the door. I ate slowly. The food tasted like cardboard, but I forced it down. I needed energy. Needed to stay sharp until I got on that plane. While I was eating, I saw him. Or I thought I did. A man walking past the window, dark hair, tan skin, same build as Marco. My heart stopped. I dropped my burger, stared. He turned slightly. Not Marco, not even close. Different face, younger. But for a second, I was sure it was him. I couldn't breathe. My hands started shaking. I grabbed my purse, stood up, left my food on the table, walked out the back exit. I stood in an alley behind the McDonald's, pressed my back against the wall, tried to calm down, breathed slowly, in through my nose, out through my mouth, like my therapist taught me years ago when I had panic attacks after my mom died. I hadn't had one in over a decade, but here it was, chest tight, vision blurry, heart racing. I thought I was having a heart attack. A worker came out the back door to throw away trash, saw me, asked if I was okay in Spanish. I nodded, said yes. He looked concerned, but went back inside. I stayed there for another 5 minutes, until my heart slowed down, until I could breathe normally, until the world stopped spinning. I couldn't do this. I couldn't walk around this city for another 10 hours. I needed to go to the airport. Early. Very early. I didn't care if I had to sit there for 8 hours. At least I'd be safe. At least I'd be one step closer to home. I got a taxi. Told the driver, Aeropuerto, por favor. He nodded. Started driving. I watched out the window. Made sure we were going the right way. Made sure he wasn't taking some weird route. Made sure this wasn't happening again. But it was fine. He drove straight to the airport. 20 minutes. I paid. Tipped. Got out. The airport was busy. People everywhere. Lines at check-in. Families with kids. Couples arguing about bags. Tour groups wearing matching shirts. I felt relief. Safety in numbers. Safety in crowds. I went to my airline's counter. Checked in. The woman asked if I had luggage. I said it was at my hotel. I'd pick it up later. She printed my boarding pass, told me my gate. I thanked her. Went through security. The security line was long. I stood behind a family with 3 kids. The kids were loud, complaining. The parents looked exhausted. I envied them. Their biggest problem was keeping their kids quiet. Not wondering if they'd been assaulted and couldn't remember. Not jumping at every man who looked vaguely familiar. Not leaving a vacation 3 days early because they were too scared to stay. I got through security, found my gate, sat down. It was only 12:30 p.m. My flight wasn't until 9:47, over 9 hours to wait. But I didn't care. I was here. I was safe. No one could hurt me here. I bought a bottle of water, a sandwich I didn't want. Sat and watched people. Watched families saying goodbye. Couples holding hands. Solo travelers reading books. Everyone going somewhere. Everyone with their own stories. Around 2 p.m., I realized I needed to go back to the hotel for my luggage. I'd been so panicked I forgot. I thought about leaving it, buying new clothes when I got home. But my laptop was in there. My medications. Things I needed. I couldn't just abandon it. I took a taxi back to the hotel. The same route, the same streets. But now it felt different. I was leaving. This was the last time I'd see this place. The last time I'd be in this city. I'd never come back. Never. I didn't care how beautiful the beaches were, how cheap the resorts were, how much people loved it here. For me, Cancun would always be the place where something terrible happened that I couldn't fully remember. I got to the hotel, went to the front desk. Different person working now, a man, young. He pulled my bag from the luggage room, asked if I was checking out. I said yes. He said my reservation was until Sunday. I said I was leaving early. Family emergency. He didn't ask questions, just processed the checkout, printed my receipt, wished me a safe trip. I took my bag, started to leave. Then I saw Isabella, the girl from my first morning here. She was across the lobby, talking to a guest. She looked up, saw me, smiled, waved. I didn't wave back, just turned and walked out. I couldn't fake being nice, couldn't pretend this place hadn't destroyed me. The taxi driver helped me put my bag in the trunk. I got in the back seat, told him airport again. He gave me a look, asked if I was sure. I said yes. He shrugged, started driving. Halfway there, my phone buzzed. A text from my daughter. "Hey Mom, how's Mexico? Send pics." I stared at the message. I couldn't respond. What would I say? I closed the message, put my phone away. Back at the airport, I checked my bag, went through security again, back to my gate. It was 3:45 p.m., 6 more hours. I bought a book from a shop. Some thriller. Tried to read, couldn't focus. The words swam on the page. I kept reading the same paragraph over and over, not absorbing anything. Finally gave up, just sat, waited, watched the clock. Around 6 p.m., I went to a restaurant in the terminal, ordered soup and crackers, something light. My stomach was still messed up, had been since Wednesday morning. The soup was too salty, but I ate it. I needed something in my stomach for the flight. I paid, went back to my gate. More people were gathering now. My flight was filling up. Families, business people. Tourists going home with tans and souvenirs and stories about their amazing vacations. I had stories too, but not the kind I'd share at dinner parties, not the kind I'd post on Facebook, the kind that would make people uncomfortable, make them look away, change the subject. At 7:30 p.m., I went to the bathroom, washed my face, looked at myself in the mirror. I looked different than I did 5 days ago. Older, harder. Something in my eyes had changed. The confidence was gone, replaced with fear, suspicion. I didn't recognize myself. I went back to the gate, sat down. A woman next to me asked if I was on the Dallas flight. I said yes. She said she couldn't wait to get home, said she'd had a wonderful week, beautiful weather, great food. Her husband won $200 at the casino. She was so happy. I said that was nice. She asked about my trip. I said it was fine. She waited for more. I didn't give more. She got uncomfortable, turned away, pulled out her phone. At 8:45 p.m., they started boarding. I was in group 4. I waited, watched people line up, push forward, everyone eager to get on, get home. I stood when they called my group, got in line, handed the gate agent my boarding pass. She scanned it, said, "Have a nice flight." I walked down the jet bridge, found my seat. Middle row, middle seat, trapped between 2 strangers. A man was in the window seat, big, taking up space. He didn't look at me when I sat down. A woman took the aisle seat, younger, maybe 30. She smiled, said hello. I said hello back, then put in my earbuds. I didn't want to talk, didn't want to be friendly. I just wanted to get home. The plane filled up, the doors closed. The flight attendant gave safety instructions. I didn't listen. I'd heard them 1,000 times. I just stared at the seat in front of me, felt the plane push back, start moving, taxi to the runway. The engines got louder. We picked up speed. Then we were in the air, wheels up. Cancun getting smaller below us, disappearing. I closed my eyes, felt tears come. Finally, after holding them in for 3 days, they came. quiet, rolling down my cheeks. I turned my face to the window so the woman next to me wouldn't see. I cried for 20 minutes, for what happened, for what might have happened, for the version of me who got on a plane to Cancun 5 days ago thinking she was strong and independent and safe. That version was gone. Died in a dark room I can't remember, or in a car I can't describe, or in those missing hours I'll never get back. The flight was 4 hours. I didn't sleep, didn't read, didn't watch a movie, just sat, existed, waited to land. Around 1 a.m., the pilot announced our descent into Dallas. I looked out the window, saw the lights of the city, so many lights, civilization, home, safety. I started crying again. We landed. I waited for everyone else to get off. Didn't rush, didn't push, just waited, finally stood, got my bag from the overhead, walked off the plane, through the terminal, to baggage claim, waited for my suitcase. It came around the carousel. I grabbed it, walked out to ground transportation, got in a taxi, gave him my address in Austin, 2.5 hours away. He didn't seem happy about it. I didn't care. I paid him extra. Cash. He agreed. We drove through the night. I watched Texas pass by the window. Flat land, dark sky, familiar, safe. We got to Austin around 4 a.m. He dropped me at my house. I paid, tipped well, grabbed my bag, went to my front door, unlocked it, stepped inside, closed the door, locked it, put the chain on, checked it twice, then collapsed on my couch. Still dressed, still in my shoes, too tired to move. I was home. I was safe. It was over. I didn't leave my house for 4 days. I called in sick to work, said I had food poisoning from the trip. My boss said to take the time I needed. I stayed in my pajamas, kept the curtains closed, ordered food delivery and barely touched it. I slept during the day, stayed awake at night, couldn't break the pattern. Every time I tried to sleep in the dark, I'd see that room, feel that fear, wake up gasping. My daughter called on Tuesday. I didn't answer. She called again Wednesday. Left a voicemail asking if I was okay. Said she hadn't heard from me since before my trip. I texted back. Said I was fine, just tired, adjusting to being home. She said she wanted to see pictures. I said my phone died in Mexico. Lost all my photos. She seemed disappointed but didn't push. On Thursday, I forced myself to shower, to get dressed, to open the curtains. The sunlight hurt my eyes. Everything felt too bright, too loud, too much. I made coffee, sat at my kitchen table, looked at my phone. I had emails from work, messages from friends. A Facebook notification that someone had tagged me in a photo from 2 years ago. Normal life. Life that kept moving while I was stuck. I opened my banking app, looked at those charges again. El Nido, the taxi, the convenience store. I'd looked at them 100 times, trying to make sense of them, trying to remember. But the memories wouldn't come. Just blank space. Just fear. I Googled what to do after being drugged for the 10th time. Read the same articles, the same advice. Go to the hospital immediately, get a rape kit done. File a police report, preserve evidence. Don't shower, don't change clothes. I'd done everything wrong. Showered immediately, waited too long, left the country. There was no evidence now, just my word, just my missing hours, just my fear. I found a support group online for women who'd been assaulted or drugged while traveling. I read their stories. So many stories. Women from all over, all ages, some younger than me, some older, all with the same experience. Went out, had drinks, woke up not remembering. Some were raped, some were robbed, some just lost time and never knew what happened. The not knowing was its own kind of torture. I created an account, posted my story, kept it vague, didn't use real names or locations, just described what happened. Within an hour, I had responses, women saying they understood, saying they'd been through similar things, saying I wasn't alone, saying it wasn't my fault. But it felt like my fault. I kept thinking about all the things I could have done differently. Shouldn't have gone out alone. Shouldn't have talked to Marco. Shouldn't have had that second drink. Shouldn't have gotten in that car. So many shouldn'ts. One woman messaged me privately. She was 56, from Canada. Had a similar experience in the Dominican Republic 3 years ago. She said the hardest part wasn't the incident itself. It was the aftermath. The fear that never fully went away. The way she saw danger everywhere now. The way she couldn't trust anyone. She said it got better with time, but it never completely went away. She said I needed to talk to someone, a therapist, someone who specialized in trauma. She said holding it in would destroy me. On Friday, exactly 1 week after that night in Cancun, I called my doctor. Said I needed a referral for a therapist. She asked why. I said I had a traumatic experience while traveling. She didn't ask for details, just gave me 3 names. I called the first one. A woman named Dr. Sarah Chen. Her office said she had an opening next Thursday. I took it. That weekend, I told my daughter. Not everything, but enough. I called her Saturday morning. She was happy to hear from me. Started talking about her week, her job, her boyfriend. I let her talk for a while. Then I interrupted, said I needed to tell her something. She got quiet. I told her my trip didn't go well, that something happened, that I wasn't hurt but I was shaken. She asked what happened. I gave her the basic version. Went out, met someone. Think I was drugged. Woke up not remembering. Got home safely. She was silent for a long time. Then she started crying. Said she knew something was wrong. Said she could feel it. Asked why I didn't call her from Mexico. I said I didn't want to worry her. She said that was stupid. Said she was my daughter. Said worrying about me was her job. She asked if I went to the hospital. I said no. She asked if I reported it. I said I tried. She asked if I was okay. I said I didn't know. She wanted to fly to Austin. Stay with me for a week. I said no. Said I needed space, needed time. She didn't like that, but she accepted it. Made me promise to see a therapist. Made me promise to call her every day. Made me promise not to isolate myself. I promised. I meant it. My ex-husband found out through our daughter. He called Sunday night. I almost didn't answer. But I did. He was surprisingly kind. Asked if I was okay. Asked if I needed anything. Didn't say I told you so, even though I know he wanted to. He said if I needed help with anything, medical bills, legal fees, whatever, to let him know. I thanked him. We hung up. It was the nicest conversation we'd had in 5 years. Monday, I went back to work. I wasn't ready, but I couldn't hide in my house forever. I wore long sleeves even though it was warm, kept my head down, avoided small talk. My coworker Denise asked how my vacation was. I said it was fine. She said I didn't look relaxed. I said the flight back was rough. She nodded, moved on. I was grateful she didn't push. At lunch, I sat in my car, didn't go to the break room, didn't want to talk to anyone. I scrolled through my phone, looked at travel websites, looked at trips I'd never take. Bali, Thailand, Greece, Portugal, places that used to excite me. Now they just looked dangerous. Everywhere looked dangerous. That night, I went to the grocery store for the first time since getting back. I needed food. Real food, not delivery. I walked through the aisles, put things in my cart without really looking. Pasta, sauce, bread, coffee. At the checkout, the man bagging my groceries had dark hair, tan skin. Something about him made me freeze. My heart started racing. He said something. I didn't hear it. Just grabbed my bags. Left. Sat in my car. Breathed. Told myself I was safe. Told myself he was just a grocery bagger. Told myself I couldn't live like this. Thursday came. My therapy appointment. Dr. Chen's office was in a medical building near downtown. I sat in the waiting room for 20 minutes, filled out forms, medical history, insurance information, a questionnaire about depression and anxiety. I checked a lot of boxes. Dr. Chen called me back. She was younger than I expected, maybe 40, kind face, calm voice. Her office was small but comfortable, soft lighting, a couch, a chair, tissues on the table. She invited me to sit. I sat on the couch. She sat in the chair, asked me what brought me in. I told her everything, the whole story, from booking the trip to landing back in Austin. I cried through most of it. She listened, didn't interrupt, didn't judge. When I finished, she asked questions. How was I sleeping? Not well. Eating, barely, working, going through the motions, socializing? No. She asked if I'd had thoughts of hurting myself. I said no. That was true. I wasn't suicidal, just scared, just broken. She said what I was experiencing was normal. Trauma response. PTSD possibly. She said the missing memories were my brain's way of protecting me. Sometimes when something terrible happens, our minds block it out. It's a survival mechanism. She said the memories might come back, or they might not. Either way, I needed to find a way to move forward. She asked what I was most afraid of. I said not knowing what happened to me, not knowing if I was raped, not knowing if there was more I could have done. She said the not knowing was hard, but I might never know, and I needed to make peace with that. She said my life didn't end that night in Cancun. It changed, but it didn't end. We talked for an hour. She gave me homework, start a journal, write about my feelings every day, try to sleep in the dark again, even if just for an hour. Go to one social event, even if it's just coffee with a friend. She said recovery was slow, but it was possible. She scheduled me for next week. Same time. I left her office feeling lighter, not fixed, not healed, but lighter, like maybe I could survive this, like maybe I wouldn't feel this way forever. I drove home, made dinner, actually ate it, went to bed at a normal time, turned off the lights, lay in the dark. My heart raced, my hands shook, but I stayed. For 15 minutes. Then I turned on a lamp. But it was a start. The next week I went to coffee with my friend Janet. She knew something had happened but didn't know details. She talked about her kids, her husband, her job, normal things. I mostly listened. But it felt good, felt normal. When we were leaving, she hugged me, said she was glad I was back, said she missed me. I realized I'd been isolating more than I thought. Not just since Cancun, but for years. Since the divorce. Maybe even before. It's been 6 months since that night in Cancun. 6 months since I woke up in a hotel room with missing hours and a fear I couldn't shake. I still don't remember everything. The memories haven't come back. Dr. Chen says they probably never will. She says my brain made a choice to protect me, and I need to respect that choice. I'm not the same person who boarded that plane to Mexico. That woman was confident, maybe overconfident. She believed that age and experience made her immune to danger. She thought bad things only happened to careless people, young people, people who didn't know better. I know now how wrong she was. Predators don't care how old you are. They don't care how smart you think you are. They look for vulnerability, for opportunity, for someone alone who trusts too easily. I still travel. That's important for me to say. I didn't let fear win completely, but I travel differently now. I have rules. Non-negotiable rules that I follow every single time. I never go out alone at night in an unfamiliar place. Never. If I want to explore, I do it during the day, in crowds, with other people around. I don't drink alcohol when I'm alone. Not even one drink. Not worth the risk. I don't talk to strangers who approach me first. I don't care if they seem nice. I don't care if they seem helpful. I politely decline and walk away. I keep my phone charged and location sharing on. My daughter can see where I am at all times. I check in with her twice a day when I'm traveling, morning and night. If she doesn't hear from me, she knows something is wrong. I research every place I go. I know where the hospital is, where the police station is, where the U.S. Embassy is. I have emergency numbers saved in my phone. I have travel insurance that includes medical evacuation. I stay in well-reviewed hotels in safe areas. I don't try to save money by staying somewhere cheap and isolated. It's not worth it. I eat at busy restaurants. I take official taxis or rideshare services. I verify the driver and the license plate before I get in. I sit in the back seat. I keep my hand on the door handle. I watch the route on my phone. If something feels wrong, I get out. These rules sound extreme to some people. My ex-husband said I was being paranoid. A friend said I was letting fear control me. But they're wrong. This isn't fear controlling me. This is me taking control back. This is me refusing to be an easy target. This is me learning from the hardest lesson I've ever learned. I joined an online community for women over 50 who travel. We share advice. We share warnings. We share locations and hotel recommendations and stories about close calls. We look out for each other in a way the world doesn't look out for us, because society tells us we're invisible after a certain age, and invisibility can be protective. But it can also be dangerous. It means no one notices when we're in trouble. No one rushes to help. No one takes us seriously when we say something is wrong. Last month, I took a trip to Santa Fe. I went with 2 women from my support group. We rented a house together. We explored during the day. We cooked dinner at home at night. We talked about our lives, our fears, our healing. It was the first trip since Cancun where I felt safe, where I felt like myself again. A new version of myself. Scarred but stronger. I still see Dr. Chen every other week. The PTSD diagnosis is official now. I have good days and bad days. Some nights I still can't sleep in the dark. Some days I still see men who look like Marco and my chest tightens. But I'm learning to manage it. To live with it. To not let it define me. If you're watching this and you're over 50 and you love to travel, please listen to me. Please learn from my mistake. Age is not protection. Experience is not armor. Bad things can happen anywhere, to anyone, at any age. You are not too old to be a target. You are not too smart to be fooled. You are not immune. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't worry about being rude. Don't worry about seeming paranoid. Your safety is more important than someone else's feelings. Stay alert, stay sober, stay connected, have a plan, have rules, follow them. I'll never know exactly what happened to me that night in Cancun. That knowledge was taken from me along with those hours. But I survived. I came home. I'm still here. And I'm using my voice to warn others, to help others, to make sure what happened to me doesn't happen to you. Travel, see the world, enjoy your freedom. But do it smart. Do it safe. Do it with your eyes wide open. That's the ISO I'll never travel without again. Awareness, preparation, rules, and the willingness to walk away from anything that doesn't feel right. Stay safe out there.